Hello and welcome to Movie Film Studios, the only podcast that takes you inside the mind of two film studio executives as we unravel and then re-ravel the best that Hollywood has to offer. I'm Isaac.
And I'm AJ, and this week we slipped on some boxing gloves and jumped into the ring in order to escape from the apocalyptic rise of Lady Gaga. But before we get into something new, it's time for something old as we check in on our last feature in Box Office Report. Now, last week we released the third film in the National Treasure... Was it National Treasure?
It was, yeah.
National Treasure series, which we simply titled National Treasure, yeah. Which also served as a sequel to the 1960-whatever film. 1963 Alfred Hitchcock film, The Birds.
Yeah.
So we somehow made a sequel to both films in the one film.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think... must make it very, very, very clear.
Yes.
To avoid confusion.
Yes.
National Treasure.
Yep.
2018.
Yep.
Is only a sequel to the first National Treasure
that's
film.
That's right. Exactly.
Absolutely has nothing to do with National Treasure 2. As far as we're concerned, there's still gold inside Mount Rushmore. Really kind of strange. Normally, our contract negotiations with actors go really smoothly.
Yep.
The people we have in mind for the roles just sort of like go, yeah, sign on.
Yep.
Nicolas Cage, who's renowned for taking every single film role that comes across his desk.
He's taken some of our roles before, I'm sure of it.
This is the first film he has turned down in almost 15 years.
He turned down us?
He turned us down.
What?
I have no idea.
But he's been in one of our films before.
He was in... The Sorcerer's Apprentice. He said yes to. Ghost Rider 2. He said yes to. He said yes to Knowing.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Like... all of these films, I'm just like it didn't even occur to me. I didn't even put into into my schedule for making this film negotiations with Nicolas Cage because I just thought that's a lock.
Yeah.
But we're still. I mean, he's turned it down. We offered him more money. He turned it down.
Yep.
He has to be in this film.
Yeah, he does.
This film doesn't work without him.
Exactly. We have the rights to National Treasure somehow.
Exactly.
And he is...
He knows... I think he knows this.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those... Have you been around a poker table and the guys sort of they play really slow for the first 15 years and they learn everyone's tells?
Yep.
I think this is what Nicolas Cage has been doing.
Yep.
For the last 10 years, he's been building up his skill as a negotiator by playing softball the whole time.
This makes sense.
And then when he digs in his heels, he becomes the greatest contract negotiator of all time.
Yep.
I feel as though the budget for this film is just going to blow out exponentially.
It probably is. You know what we should do then? This is what we do. We do what Ocean's 8 did, and because they couldn't get George Clooney back for that film, we just say that, Nicolas Cage died, and now it's his sibling
his
or
sister.
his sister, or his son, or his daughter, or something.
Exactly.
And then also, at some point in the film, we'll have a framed photo of Nicolas Cage that isn't actually a photo. It was just a still taken from one of the previous films. I hate when films do that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just they did that for, again, the worst film of all time, twice, for both Brody and Sean Connery's character in Crystal Skull. I'm actually going to... That's a really bad... really, really good power play move.
Yep.
I'm just going to send Nicolas don't worry, contract negotiations are over. We're just going to cast a new actor, a new well-known actor as your sibling.
Let's go even deeper. I feel like we should start a rivalry with Nicolas Cage. Does he have a son? Can we cast his son? Is his son is he a bit jaded with his father? Can we actually just cast...
He does have a son, and his son's name is Kal-El, after
Superman.
It is too. Yeah,
you're right, yeah. That's it. We will... Okay, this film, it will go ahead. It's now the descendant of Nicolas Cage's character. Still Sean Bean. So Sean Bean,
absolutely,
as we mentioned last week, had cryogenically frozen himself to 2050-something.
Yep.
And now it's just his son, who I guess...
Kal-El... I think it's Kal-El Coppola.
Yeah, you're right.
It would be... I'm not sure... Again, not sure if they're into acting at the moment or how old they are.
Yep.
But definitely...
Doesn't matter.
Let's just... I'm going to send his agent a message as well.
Yep.
I'm actually... We'll check in a little bit later because, again, really good negotiator Nicolas Cage is actually quite prompt to responding to these messages.
Yep.
Almost like he's already thought 5 or 6 moves ahead and he knows every play that I'm going to make and has a counter for it. I don't know what to do about it.
Look, we'll see how it goes. This is probably one of the first weeks that we haven't been able to finish a film.
Exactly. I mean, turnaround on a film's normally less than 7 days.
Yeah,
almost always less than 7 days.
Yeah.
But I think Nicolas Cage knows he's costing us money every time he holds out. And anyway, we'll check in on that a little bit later on.
We'll get there. All right, on to this week in trailers. First trailer for you this week is Creed 2, a sequel to Creed, the film about the band. No.
I kind of feel as though this almost belonged in last week's set of trailers. Well, not a horror. Definitely, Creed was definitely like a soft reboot of an existing franchise. In very much the same way that everything we watched last week was.
Absolutely, yeah.
I didn't make it all the way through Creed. It was it was a good film, and I got up to the bit where they're about, like, there's a build up to the fight, and they're about to fight, and it's going to be the great big fight. I'm like, I've seen enough of this film now. I don't actually need to watch the guys like whack each other in the face for the last 20 minutes of the film.
This was the first one was Oscar bait as well, didn't it? I think it got nominated for a few things. I think Stallone got nominated for some kind of nomination for Best Supporting Actor or something. One of his first Oscar nominations, or I don't know, second, or I don't know. It's so.
I think he may have more screenwriting Oscar nominations than he does acting Oscar nominations. And when you see like how he is in front of the camera, sure, definitely.
Yeah.
In the first film, I'm like, what are you saying? This is a good film, but. I mean, how did you get an Oscar for like an Oscar nomination for writing?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even need to write words on the paper. You're just mumbling. These aren't even words.
Just improvise the whole thing.
Exactly.
I haven't seen the first Creed, and I don't know if this one is going to be as good as the first.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be. But.
I mean, if anything's to go by, all of the main characters from the first Creed ended up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
That's right.
So, Michael B. Jordan, who plays Apollo Creed's son, whose name I don't know. Is it Apollo?
It's something Creed.
I don't even actually. I think one of the things in the film is that his last name isn't Creed because like his father died in Rocky 2 or Rocky 3 or
there's the
exactly.
I haven't seen any of the Rocky films. I mean, you'd think as a big time Hollywood producer such as myself, I would have seen.
We get the gist of it.
All the films, but
watching it takes time. You watch a trailer, you get a pretty good sense of a film.
Yeah,
so.
That's the thing. I mean, if I need to I'll clue you in on sort of like the hidden secrets of the producing world. You don't need to have seen any of the films to be a producer. You just need to sort of have the general gist of it. I mean, do you really think that any Hollywood producer out there actually watches the films that they're releasing?
Don't have time.
No, they don't have time. I'm a busy executive. I generally know it's an underdog story. Sylvester Stallone pumps his fists at the top of some staircase in Washington.
Yeah.
He's
trained by Carl Weathers, who plays Apollo Creed, and then I think in Rocky 2 or 3, I've only seen the first one, he gets punched to death, and there's a dramatic moment of, dying in his arms. And then I think in Creed, this is his son, but I think his son doesn't actually go by the last name Creed because he was raised without a father and then chooses to adopt the name Creed. Anyway, I don't really remember. I'm not sure it's important.
It probably isn't. But this particular film also brings back probably the descendant of Drago because...
Yes, that's a good point as well.
This is, I don't know, is this a thing for like the siblings or the sons and daughters of like...
film rivals,
that just continue on.
I mean, we did literally just cast Nicolas Cage's kid, and I think the week before as well, did we not try and cast Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey's son in films as well?
Yeah, we did. You know what? I think, but this is only a thing that happens in films, right? Like it's. I mean, do old family rivalries still exist?
I think the issue becomes that, like, for that to occur, both pairs of rivals have to have kids at the same time.
True, yeah.
And both of those kids have to grow up to be professionals in the same professional sport. I mean, it is quite common for athletes to have had professional athlete parents in the same sport is a little bit less common. And then also, like,
the same rivalries?
Did Michael Jordan and like Shaq have a rivalry and are their kids going to grow up and play in the NBA? It's not going to happen. Like, even if they are professional athletes, like, what are the odds?
Yeah, it only happens in stories. It doesn't seem to happen in real life. Like, it's a Romeo and Juliet thing, like the Montagues versus the Capulets. It's just the perpetual rivalry. So I don't know. Like, imagine what if Drago and Creed are like the best of friends? What if they...
Yeah, exactly.
Just like Romeo and Juliet. Maybe it's a fairy tale romance where they're just like, we are from competing families, but we don't actually hate each other. We're pretty... Maybe they're just like indifferent. They're just like, yeah, pretty fine. There's no...
Yeah. We're just we just happen to be in a boxing ring.
Yeah, that's right.
But we're just gonna like play some Nintendo and hang out for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, did you think this big, colourful, silky dressing gown robe with the name Drago on the back meant we're going to fight? Nah. It was just like a little bit cold, but not so cold that I needed a big furry dressing gown.
Yeah, that's right.
So the silky one was kind of nice.
Exactly. It's refreshing. All right, on to trailer number 2, which is A Star Is Born, a remake of the 1937 film of the same name, starring and directed by Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. So is this his first directorial film?
According to the Academy, yes, it is. So he will be releasing this one and then directing something else later on. But yeah, this is his directorial debut.
So the film basically follows Bradley Cooper, who is an established country music star.
Like a Willie Nelson style.
Yeah, sort of. He's had a long, prosperous career. You kind of see elements of, like, he's got a bit of a drinking habit. Mm-hmm. He has big sort of like large open stage shows, and he meets a girl in a bar, some sort of performer, who is Stephanie Gianotta. I can't remember Lady Gaga's real name. It's something like that.
Well, I mean, she goes by Lady Gaga.
And she's
in this film.
credited in the trailer as Lady Gaga, but I think, eventually she's going to be Stephanie in brackets Gaga Gianotta, following the rock star. Germanotta.
Yeah.
And she's just like this no-name performer in a bar.
Yep.
Forms a relationship with Bradley Cooper, and Bradley Cooper's like, you know, the most beautiful person I've ever seen. You've got a fantastic voice. Yep. You deserve to be a star. And he gets her on stage, and they start performing together.
Yep.
And they start going through the high life. And I imagine there's, all the trappings and relationship problems that brings with it. And that's pretty much the film.
Yeah, pretty much. It is, as I said, a remake of the 1937 film. It's like the third or fourth remake of it as well. It's a kind of archetypal Hollywood romance feel-good movie. Only this one seems to sort of inject a bit more high stakes, a little bit more intensity in terms of, bad things happening and so on and so forth.
So the biggest thing that you find with these sort of films, and Crazy Heart was an example that I brought up of, it's a fictitious famous country star who has a troubled past. I think whoever the Big Lebowski was,
like the actor?
Yeah, what's his name?
Kurt.
Johnny. He's got his brother and his dad, and he's Jeff Bridges. Bo Bridges.
There we go.
Lots of Bridges.
It's Jeff Bridges.
It is Jeff Bridges.
There we go.
Definitely don't tell him it took us that long to remember his name, and that I remembered Bo Bridges before him and Jeff Bridges. Although Bo will be very happy.
Lloyd Bridges will be happy. We love Lloyd Bridges.
He won an Academy Award for Crazy Heart.
Yes.
Not a good film. I really didn't enjoy it. And I don't think it was a good performance. And I don't think the music was that good.
Yep.
And everyone's like, it's the greatest film ever. These films, because they're fictitious musicians, always have to write original songs for the film. So with Lady Gaga on board, and she is a songwriter, they have that sort of pedigree in there. But I think you were saying that Willie Nelson's son?
Yeah, Lucas Nelson was approached by Bradley Cooper to write songs for the film, and so he wrote a whole bunch of songs for the film, and also collaborated with Lady Gaga to write some additional songs, because there's a few songs in here that are duets as well. And so, they have written a whole bunch of original songs.
I also think Bradley Cooper, by directing, has given himself the license to sing in the songs. I don't know. Have they got like a stunt voice in?
I don't know.
In the trailer, it does sound like Bradley Cooper singing.
Does.
And to be fair, he's not
bad. Yeah.
But is he good enough to like? It's like no one else would have put him in this role. But he's like, I want to be a country star. I'm the only, and I'm going to cast myself as a country star, and I'm going to get to sing.
I mean, it's not a wholly ridiculous casting choice though. Like, it's not like Keanu Reeves in that Dracula film by Coppola, where he was just like, why are you in this film? Why you do not belong in here?
When you said it's not a ridiculous casting, and then you said the words Keanu Reeves, like my brain flagged at least 7 other films that he's in, where I'm just like, this is a ridiculous casting to have Keanu Reeves in it. And you picked Bram Stoker's Dracula, which again is one of the ones that raised a flag, but by no means the only one.
But all right, on to the final film for this week's episode, and it is How It Ends, a Netflix original film starring Forrest Whitaker,
That's the only really well-known actor.
Yeah, that's the only one I know.
The other guy, the main male lead is an English actor who's been sort of like in fringe roles for the last maybe 5 or 10 years. I think he was in the In-Betweeners as like the big, I'm so big and tough and I'm the handsome guy and the little nerdy characters. I don't care for little nerdy characters.
Yes.
But he was also in...
Theo James is his name.
Was he in Divergent and Insurgent as well? I think he had roles
in the Underworld films.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, he was in the Divergent series, sorry.
Yeah. So he's played tall, handsome British guy in a lot of sort of like B and C films for the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's the kind of actor where he would be absolutely typecast rather as the uptight, arrogant, smarmy British dude that you just hate and you know will get his comeuppance at some point in the film. But in this one, he's playing the lead. Something happens in the world. It's some kind of
natural disaster of some description.
Seemingly a natural disaster, but there seems to be some sinister overtones to it. And he is tasked with finding his partner, I think?
Yeah, so he's got a girlfriend, a wife or a girlfriend who's stranded in a city. He's at the very time that this thing happens visiting his either in-laws or his parents' girlfriends. His girlfriend's parents. His parents' girlfriend. His girlfriend's parent, who is Forrest Whitaker.
Yep.
And Forrest Whitaker seems to be ex-military. There's a point there where he like unrolls a duffel bag and there's knives and guns. It's like, I've got a very specific set of skills. And all communication is cut off with the city.
Yep.
There's military guards for every major road coming in and out.
F-22s flying throughout the city.
There's a bit of lawlessness. I think in the trailer they come up across at least 6 different roadblocks. There's police, there's military, there's already your post-apocalyptic biker gangs forming roadblocks as well. And somehow they're trying to get into the city, and more of the mystery unravels. There's like weird lightning storms, flocks of birds are behaving weirdly. So they say it's an earthquake, but then like, maybe it's something different. I'm like, literally, this trailer doesn't tell us whether it's aliens, whether it's government experiments, whether it's natural disasters, whether it's underground kaiju monsters.
Which is possibly not the intent of the film anyway. It might be about the relationship between British dude and Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, 2 people who are trying to save someone that they love for different reasons.
I got a bit of a sense of like, it almost felt a little bit War of the Worlds. You know, the sort of like the opening third of War of the Worlds where just weird things are happening and they can't really figure out what it is. I like that kind of otherworldly feel to it on Earth. The other thing I was going to say is, with all the post-apocalyptic stuff, do you reckon there's just people out there that are just like waiting for that event to happen and they'll just instantly roll out the post-apocalyptic kits and the post-apocalyptic gangs? They're just ready to go.
They're ready. I was about to say, there are actually people who are preppers. Who have bunkers, but it's just like the guys who, for everyone who's got a bunker with cans of tin food to survive for 20 years, there's another guy with a motorcycle that has spikes all over it and a torn leather jacket because his prepping is like, I'm going to be part of a post-apocalyptic biker gang.
Yeah, exactly.
The moment that it happens, it's not 10 or 15 years down the line. It is the moment we get a sense that it might happen. We're forming these gangs.
That's right. Yeah, they live an otherwise lawful life.
Exactly.
But as soon as that event happens,
it's Joey from accounting.
Yeah.
Joey from accounting. Why have you got ram's horns glued to the side of a motorcycle helmet? That's a bit weird.
I love like they're on like earthquake watch and they're like, oh no, it's not enough on the Richter scale yet. No, this volcano hasn't erupted enough yet.
Tina from Starbucks, can I get an asteroid report? Are any asteroids coming through? No, not yet. Okay.
Damn it. Another day, another dollar. So this particular film actually is a Blacklist script. Which the Blacklist script in Hollywood, as I know about these things, is a whole bunch of scripts that sort of are very highly acclaimed but have yet to be produced.
To be made,
So they're sort of always floating around, going across various... We ignore them straight away.
Yeah, exactly.
We want nothing to do with Blacklist scripts.
Because generally the people who write them are not well-known screenwriters.
Yeah, that's right,
because if you've written a good script and you're a well-known screenwriter, then it normally gets made, or you're approached by studios to make film, to actually write the script from scratch. Whereas these ones are like unsolicited screen scripts that people have written.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple of them, but they're really just sort of like propping open doors. big pile of them, just sort of like paperweights here and there. And also written on black paper as well. It's really difficult to read the black ink on black paper.
You know how much toner it wastes as well every time you have to print one of these off?
No wonder people don't make them. Like, think of it. If you're going to put it on black paper to be part of the blacklist, maybe use white ink. Think of us producers. You have to make our job easier.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, how it ends, you'll see it on Netflix whenever they decide to release it, and then they'll release the sequel the next day, and then they'll spin it off into a
kids animated TV series.
All right, those are the 3 films for this week's episode. But of course, before we can do anything with them, we're going to have to take a little walk over to the green room.
Let's go.
All right, now let's recap our 3 films for this week's episode. So we have a
sequel to a rebooted sports film.
Yep.
Sure.
Perfect.
We have a country music film with remake with a well-known singer of some description.
Yep.
And we have an apocalyptic survival film.
Thriller. Yeah, great. Now, I believe it's my turn
It is your
this
turn.
week to choose. I mean, they all look pretty good. We have really not done a musical before.
Not done a musical.
We haven't done a post-apocalyptic film before.
We haven't.
And I really want to go down that road. The disastrous road.
You say that road or the road?
The road.
Also a post-apocalyptic.
Actually, you know what? That's the name of the film. The Road.
Cormac McCarthy's The Road.
That's right. I've not read that book. I do need to, though. No, we call it The Road. That's it. It doesn't need to mean a legitimate, an actual road. Could just mean a journey that the characters need to go down. Could mean maybe it's like the initials of something, or it's an acronym for something else. But for now,
you're being serious.
I am.
But Viggo Mortensen was already in a post-apocalyptic film called The Road.
Are you serious? Oh, damn it!
Based on the Cormac McCarthy book, I mean, I'm happy to do it. I'm just maybe that's the thing. You ever notice that if you go to a electronic store,
yep,
and they're doing a bargain bin clearance,
yeah.
and there's always DVDs in there
yep,
with the same film title as popular movies at the time,
yep.
I can't even remember what a good example. Crash,
yep,
for example. When Crash won all those Oscars in 2004 or 5,
yep,
there was a film from 1978 called Crash,
yeah.
And those electronic stores stocked up their bargain
yep,
bins with this film called Crash, and
yep,
I'm assuming people came in
yep,
wanting to watch Crash,
absolutely,
and accidentally bought their movie.
That, yeah.
Is that what we're trying to do with The Road?
Yeah, I think so.
It's so we're just going to call it the same as another film that has loosely the same sort of plot, and hope that our DVD sales gets mixed up with their DVD sales,
right,
our film sales. See, it's a good plot.
It's a good one.
I hadn't thought about that before.
We're not like other film studios. So again, we'll use the Crash example. Other film studios would release other films that sound like Crash, MASH, Brash.
That is another
trash.
approach. Yeah,
we're not doing that.
I'm fairly sure they did Protectors of the Universe when Guardians of the Galaxy came out.
I think there was a Transformers one as well called Transmuters or something weird like that. No, we're not doing that. We're going to do the exact same, because you can't copyright The Road.
Exactly.
That's not something you can copyright maybe the font or the design or I don't know, the pictures on the cover of the DVD, but you can't copyright The Road. We can't be sued for that. So yes, I know we're starting backwards. We usually come up with the name of the film at the end, but that also takes us the most amount of time. So yes, it's now called The Road.
Okay.
Now we don't need to have...
Quickly, I think I just got a message.
Oh dear.
It's from Nicholas.
Oh,
Nicholas Cage. I told you we'd check in. Kal-El is not 18, still have parental guardian control. I'm not signing off on him being in your film.
Damn it. That's... Great, now we have to go do some work on National Treasure. Anyway, oh, hang on. I'm getting a message. It's also from Nicolas Cage. Somehow he's heard us talking about The Road. And he's in.
Right.
There we go.
He's only turning down. Why is he going to be such a stickler for National Treasure?
I don't know.
This guy's he's playing so fast and loose with every rule that I know about contract negotiation.
So he's in our film. We don't know what this film's about yet. All we know is that it's called The Road and that it's some kind of post-apocalyptic film. Anything. It doesn't have to be. Cage. Yeah. So he's in.
I like setting these sort of parameters at the start.
Yeah.
It means that we don't have to spend 15 minutes at the end trying to come up with a film name. Means we don't have to fill so much time coming up with actors.
Yep.
Just right at the start. Here's who's in it. Here's what it's called. Now we get to figure out what it's about.
So The Road, starring Nicolas Cage. What is this film about?
You say, let's first figure out what is the apocalypse that this film is post.
So they've done, we've seen Aliens. I mentioned War of the Worlds earlier. We've done seismic events where like there's volcano, earthquake,
The day after tomorrow.
tidal wave.
No, that was the polar ice caps. It was freezing. It was Dennis Quaid and Jake Gyllenhaal in the snow.
Yep. There's been Deep Impact as well. We've had the asteroid.
But Deep Impact and Armageddon are very much the event that is going to destroy the world, and they have to stop it.
Yep.
It is not after those events.
Yep. Well, okay. Here's an idea then. I want to combine. Let's combine two types. So, giant asteroid hitting the Earth.
Yep.
Love that.
Yep.
Also, aliens invading.
Yeah.
But here's how I'm going to combine it. Rather than an asteroid hits the Earth, an entire planet hits the Earth, and that planet is inhabited by aliens.
You know what this reminds me of? And I never played any of the video games, but the Final Fantasy, one of the very first 3D animated films that tried for super realistic human look.
The Spirits Within, I think.
That was an asteroid that hit the Earth.
Yep.
That had the souls of other animals on it.
Yep.
And those were then ghosts that were trying to kill everyone, and it was in the future.
It's actually being done.
I mean, if we don't do with the souls of the animals as actually like...
No, it's actual...
When worlds collide, of... and aliens, but the issue is that this is not the story of the worlds colliding. It is not the story of the aliens, not necessarily taking over, but like it is like 100 years after that event.
Okay, yeah, great.
Where the world has sort of formed this very tenuous equilibrium between the aliens and... So, like, you go to your classic post-apocalyptic ramshackle town with lots of corrugated iron and... Some of the shops are run by aliens, and some it's a little bit. It's a little bit District 9 in this sense as well.
I also like the idea that the planet Earth, instead of it just being a nice spherical ball, is now like two balls mashed together.
Exactly,
because like a full-size planet collided with Earth.
And like you would expect if both of those planets were made out of like clay, they just kind of smooched together, and like it didn't knock that planet off its orbital axis, and none of the physics that like
nothing. Everything's pretty much the same.
Exactly. So maybe there is a point there. So mainly humans stick to the human side of the planet, and mainly aliens stick to their alien side of the planet.
Yep.
But there's this like point in the middle, the impact site. Yep. And if you did actually get two balls of clay and you swacked them together, it'd sort of like form like this, like
a ridge.
A ridge. And that the ridge is where this story takes place, in the meeting point where it is lawless, it's post-apocalyptic, it's aliens and humans trying to coexist.
See, they call that ridge that goes around both planets the road.
The road, yeah.
That's it. There we go. So,
I mean, it would be just much easier to call the film The Ridge, avoid confusion with The Road, but it's
too late now.
It is too late.
If we change the name, Nicolas Cage might walk off this film. We can't afford that. All right, so... we've had two planets colliding with each other, have now formed a kind of like new hybrid planet, I guess. Do we give it a different name? Does it need a new name?
No, I think it's still Earth and then whatever Globulon.
Yep,
or whatever sci-fi
inhabited
name
by the Globulites.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, that's a bit of a lazy sci-fi name. You can call it.
That's right.
Because they have their own language.
That's
and
right,
why would it sound anything like?
Exactly.
That's the other thing that really annoys me in films is that how all aliens are like bipedal, four-legged, two-eyed, sort of. Like,
you know what? Yeah, well, I mean, like, because we can't really conceive of anything that doesn't fit what we know of life, I guess. So, I mean, that's fine. But I also kind of like the idea that if these two planets had completely different atmospheres, completely different, biological lives, maybe 100 years into the future, both planets have started to evolve.
You have
together.
hybrid human alien.
Yep.
I think again, I suppose we're ignoring all of the physics that would occur.
Doesn't matter.
So I'm like, it would have to be both sort of like geologically and atmospherically similar to Earth,
compatible, but different.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah,
Just like,
why not?
It's like, no, because like the gravity's attracting the air to the Earth side, and while the other one might be sort of more freon-based air supply, in the middle it's a mixture of that sort of nitrogen, oxygen, atmosphere which humans survive on, and the freon argon. I'm just picking random noble gases now, and for some reason there's like also like I don't know, Van Allen's Kuiper belt, whatever, repelling the gases, so they're sticking mostly to their own planet.
So in the road, that's where we see this sort of abundance of new life forms.
Exactly. And you know what's really cool is that freon atmosphere
Yep.
has an amber filter.
Yeah.
And all good post-apocalyptic films,
Yep.
for some reason, just have an amber filter over every shot. And
Yeah.
we explain that away by the different coloured atmosphere is creating like this atmosphere. It's like, wow, this like sort of area is like really cool and atmospheric. It's like, yeah, it's because of the gas and not because we just put an amber filter over all of
Exactly.
cameras.
You know what's good about this? A little bit of trivia. So, I don't think Nicolas Cage has ever played an alien. Now,
you say that as trivia, and there's like no facts.
No, hang on. There's a fact involved because there was one notable alien role that he did want to play back in the 90s, and that was Superman. And there are images of him dressed up in a Superman costume.
Like a white Superman costume as well.
Yeah, there's very weird designs for them, like an all-leather version. It was going to be a Tim Burton film.
I also think Kevin Smith may have written the script for it as well.
I think he did, yes. Yeah. And there's, really weird pictures of like Nicolas Cage with super long hair dressed up in this sort of odd Superman-style costume. So I'm just thinking like, maybe this is the time. Maybe we bring him in as... not Superman, but maybe he's like a new creature born in the road who, like Superman, has powers that he can use on the Earth side of things and on the whatever we call the other planet side.
That's actually a really good point as well, because you have like maybe gravity is so much more dense on the other side that when the aliens come across, they're super strong and can run faster and jump higher.
Yep.
And then maybe there's something similar where because maybe they can't metabolize the air very well on our side because of the nitrogen, but we can on their side, or maybe we're lighter than air on their side, so we can actually fly on their side, and it becomes this like on each other's planets we are the Superman on the corresponding side.
But Nicolas Cage is the Superman for both planets.
For both planets.
He's like the first thing
hybrid
exactly, born in the road that can exist on both sides and is a hero on both sides.
That's not a bad idea, but I don't think the story focuses on him.
No.
So he is like an established superhero patrolling the road, the ridgeline, the impact crater, making sure that sort of like harmony is kept, even though like he's not doing a good job because it is a post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Right,
but it would be more so if he wasn't there. And these are we tell the story from like a group of sort of like teenage kids or something, maybe, who are like have grown up in the shadow of this superhero who knows that the superhero exists and is keeping that balance. And then end of Act 1, he dies. And that tenuous balance that was that he was patrolling falls to pieces.
Brilliant.
And then the rest of the film happens.
And then, war starts.
Exactly.
So that's it. Like, but okay, here's what happens, right? Both sides of the planet, each planet thinks that the other side is responsible for the death of this hero character.
Right, yeah.
So they're like, you killed our hero. And they're like, no, you killed our hero. And then a weird kind of civil war start. Is it a civil war if it's... No, it'd be an Earth war.
Yeah, it's a pan planet.
It's a world's war.
It's a war of the worlds. It's called The Road, When Worlds Collide, War of the Worlds. So, like, anyone who finds the DVD in the bargain bin could potentially think they're getting all three of those movies. You know how they do, like, the 3-movie bundle discs? Maybe they think they're going to get 3 films, and they take it home. It's like, oh, it's just one film? And it's just one film that has the titles of 3 other films?
It's like, it's also like, it's like that Tom Cruise film, Edge of Tomorrow, or Oblivion, because then when it went to DVD, they put the words, like, live, die, repeat in super big letters. Like, is this the same film? And then, that's what we'll do. So we'll just like make it really confusing as to what the actual name of this film is.
Yeah. So it's called The Road.
Yep.
Is it When Worlds Collide? What's the classic 1960s sci-fi film?
When Worlds Collide sounds about right. Yeah, it's When Worlds Collide, a 1933 science fiction novel by Philip Wiley and Edwin Ballmer.
All right. So it's called The Road, When Worlds Collide, the War of the Worlds.
Yep.
And then, in addition to that, on the DVD cover in really big letters, we'll have some sort of tagline, which is also a different movie's title, and hope will...
Do we need to also add in one of the subtitles from one of the older Superman films? So the not the Richard Donner original, but like I'm pretty sure one of the sequels had a crappy subtitle. Yeah, Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
Yeah.
That has to go in there.
So it's The Road, When Worlds Collide, War of the Worlds. And then our tagline, which we're going to have in bigger text, is Quest for Peace, The Voyage Home.
To which home, though?
Exactly. But people are going to go, is this Star Trek 4? Or is this Superman 4? Or is this the original War of the Worlds? Or is it the Tom Cruise War of the Worlds? Is this a book, When Worlds Collide? Or did they make a film, When Worlds Collide?
Did Jack Kerouac make some kind of sequel to The Road That We're Not Always... Is Viggo Mortensen in this?
Viggo Mortensen and Jack Kerouac and Cormac McCarthy.
Yep. All right. We're not going to have any room on the DVD. I mean, I love how we're thinking about the DVD rather than the actual, like... I mean, even the film poster. We're not going to have any room for any graphics on there. Just going to be text.
I also kind of love how redundant DVDs are as a media distribution
We don't even choose,
format.
like, Blu-ray, which is, like, at least the standard of choice these days.
Well, actually, even more so than that is the digital streaming
That's
option,
right,
which
yeah.
I think a lot more people do.
And we have a digital streaming platform as well.
Exactly.
Where are we going to fit Nicolas Cage's name on this poster? There's no room for it.
You know what posters sort of don't do very well is operate in more than one dimension.
Yeah.
They're sort of very two-dimensional objects.
True.
I reckon Nicolas Cage, we have like a second side to the poster. So like it's kind of like this weird sort of cuboid thing.
Yeah,
so we
yep.
can just put as much stuff as we want on all 6 sides of this cuboid thing. Whilst that first page may be cluttered with names and titles,
yep.
on the side is like
Yep.
the picture of Nicolas Cage I think we have to also get the his costume, because they made the costume.
Oh,
and
like the Superman costume.
Yeah, they made it and they never used it. And I feel like that's a shame.
And I think as well, it just doesn't look like a Superman
It
costume.
doesn't. It's white and silver, I think, from memory. I'm sure we can turn like that S into like a number 8 very easily with a bit of like silver marker. and he's like, oh, he's 8 man or something. I don't know.
Doesn't matter. It does not matter what the suit looks like. We'll get it. We'll rip the S off.
If we really have to, we'll do what they do in all the Marvel films, which is like they're not really wearing the suit.
Yeah.
It's just like we'll get someone who fits in the suit and do all the bits and pieces, and then we'll get Nicolas Cage in like a green onesie, and then we'll Photoshop his face.
You know what? What we could even do, we just use the original Superman suit, because this is set so far in the future and it's post-apocalyptic. Maybe it's the only suit that's available, and it's kind of ripped and torn, and
or maybe like the character like found it in a costume
yeah,
shop.
exactly. Yeah,
and he's just like, you know what? I want to embody the morals of this sort of fictional character from the past.
And like Mad Max, where like it's set not that far in the future, but like everyone there doesn't remember what airplanes are and what like various things are. Someone will like he'll dig out this suit and be like, I have no idea what this is.
It's 100 years ago. No one remembers what Superman is.
It's an ancient relic from the good times, the pre-crash.
The
pre-collision event. So yeah, I'll just wear it.
We have a good first act.
Yeah, we do.
We don't have any characters or story for acts 2 and 3. What are the goals then? If the superhero dies, are they going to trying to separate the world? Is there a separatist movement who's maybe trying to bury nuclear warheads? Between like either they're doing it on the surface around the road to try and like create a fracture line to force them apart, or are they drilling into the core?
I think they're drilling into the core. In fact,
maybe they're doing both simultaneously. So they need a Bruce Willis style oil rig drilling team to get down in there.
I like the idea that like on opposite ends of the road, right? So it's a circumference.
Yeah.
One end they're doing it from one side of the planet, and then the other end they're doing it from the other side of the planet. So they're about to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's a race to. No, that doesn't work.
Yeah, it does. It's antipodes, and it's exactly what they did with the Harbour Bridge. Is they started on opposite sides and they met in the middle.
That's it.
So definitely one of our characters is like a mining guy who's like, I didn't realize. I thought I was mining for oil or some.
No, we're going to make it more ridiculous than that. It's more like, I drill concrete posts for a living.
Exactly.
But you're the only person that's left that can do it. A la... what was that? What was the Michael Bay film that they did?
Armageddon. They were like, we're the best oil rigging crew out in the Pacific digging for oil. Therefore, like, it's much better to send us into space than it is to train asteroids to do the job of a grunt.
It's exactly right. So it's just like maybe it's the. I mean, do we bring Nicolas Cage's son in? Can we get him into this role? Not playing Nicolas Cage's son.
All right. Well, one second. I'll just send a message off. Yes,
Great.
Yes, he's replied. I'm trying to do it like as a package deal to add this. If you want to do the road with your son,
Yep.
then you have to be in National Treasure.
All right.
He's tentatively agreed that he will allow his son to be in the road, but is oddly silent still on the National Treasure front.
Damn. Oh, look, we'll get him eventually. All right, so Kal-El Coppola, I think is his name.
Kal-El Coppola, yeah.
Plays just like Billy.
Billy, his job is just digging fence posts.
Digging fence posts, yeah. But for some reason, the sort of powers that be around the world have sort of come to him and said, "You are absolutely the best man for the job. You clearly know how to dig big holes."
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than let our talented group of engineers and scientists like learn how to dig holes, we're going to let you do it instead. You're going to dig from this side of the planet down into the core of the road and plant the biggest nuclear device that we have to try and blow the two planets apart. And that is, so this is the war, right? So both sides of the planet are at war, and they just feel like the solution is we need to blow the other planet away and push them
away.
What's
weird? In an M. Night Shyamalan style twist,
Yep.
the aliens have exactly the same plan.
Yep.
And at the end of the film, they complete the tunnels
Yep.
and they meet in the middle. It's like, we're going to stop you from. Oh no, you're doing exactly the same thing we're trying to do. Why are we fighting if we want the same thing?
Yep.
And then they just peacefully blow their nuclear warheads.
Perfectly happy ending.
Except. Twist again,
Yep.
M. Night Shyamalan 2. They by blowing it up, they don't separate the planets at all.
Oh, really?
And I was going to say they destroy the planets, but that's really bad
No.
movie manager thing because that'll completely stop the of having a sequel.
Yep.
Maybe you know how the Earth's core is like iron.
Yep.
Maybe the nuclear blast creates like a fusion reaction, and those two iron cores sort of like meld together, and yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to think what would happen if you actually had put an explosive inside sort of small objects.
Are we going to be like, this is the only part of the film where we're actually scientifically accurate?
No, I think, you know how it's up until this point, it's two balls that are sort of stuck together.
Yep.
When they put the nuclear bomb inside, it explodes and the two balls sort of puff out.
Yep.
But when they sort of go back to coalesce, they just form one giant planet, one giant big ball.
Yeah.
So they've created like a new hybrid.
Yeah.
So that in the act of trying to separate, they've actually brought themselves closer together.
That's right, yeah, and that's great. And then I also like the idea that, this is how we tie it all together as well. Once that planet this new hybrid planet has been developed, it's a singular sphere now, every single creature that's born, or every new, like, whoever the main species of the planet is, these human-alien hybrids, are now all like Nicolas Cage's character.
Yeah.
And it's just a new super race of...
It's a new super planet.
Yeah.
Called Earthulon. Or Globule depending.
I like Globule Earth.
I mean, it really depends, because there's going to have to be some... The people who are originally on one side call it Globule Earth, and the other one on the other side called Earthulon.
They need a new name, because like this planet is now the proper unification of two planets.
Exactly.
And everything
it can't be just like a portmanteau of the previous two things.
And it can't have one that sort of appears first. They can't get one can't have first billing over the other. So it's a brand new name.
Maybe they just call it 8. Which
8?
is like whatever the symbol is. I thought we were going to turn the S on Superman's clothes into like the number 8. Or they name it after Nicolas Cage.
No, maybe it's like an infinity.
Infinity. Planet Infinity.
Planet Infinity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Planet
Infinity.
Planet Infinity
is a great name for it.
It is an absolutely great name for it.
And we do this, that really sickly... turn yourself off your food, sweet Hollywood style ending where everything just ends so perfectly and everyone just sort of gets along.
Yeah. The amber filter is replaced with a beautiful sunset.
Yeah,
instead.
exactly. God, this just reminds me of the end of Happy Feet. The end of Happy Feet made me so angry. Yes, thank you, Penguin, for dancing and telling us that environmental pollution is wrong. You've solved all of our problems because we can now communicate with penguins through the medium of dance. God damn it, George Miller, what were you thinking?
Anyway, so this new Planet Infinity, is now dominated by a master race of Infinitions.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're going to set ourselves up for the sequel.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, all good movies, film studios, films, there's a possibility of a sequel because we've got to milk as much money out of our ideas as possible.
Okay, here's how we set up the sequel then. So when the nuclear explosion goes off...
Are we doing this in post-credit?
No. This is what actually happens in the film. We can hint at it in a post-credit sequence. But basically, when that nuclear bomb goes off, rather than merging the two planets together, it actually like explodes outwards and then coats both planets in a giant like new crust.
Yep.
So it's sort of
fuses them into
one, and then it sort of surrounds it. So the original two merged planets are sort of still inside this new mega planet.
So whilst there are some people who are just like Planet Infinity is the best, we get the best of both worlds, and we can get. I think Miley Cyrus did a song called Best of Both Worlds. She's on the soundtrack now as well.
Really.
And everyone's like, Planet Infinity's the best. It's the greatest.
The new master race is like, this is great.
Still people inside. It's like, our planet's locked inside here.
There's an underground society there.
Literally underground society.
And you know how I mentioned earlier that there were people that just waiting for the next post-apocalyptic event?
Yeah.
Well, there's people in a post-apocalyptic event waiting for an even bigger post-apocalyptic event. And so they take over the underworld, which is like the previous world of two merged planets.
Yeah.
And there's the sequel.
Yeah.
It's now the underdwellers, the mole people of the world of Planet Infinity, who now must rise up.
We're doing, again, isn't one of the sequels to the original Planet of the Apes Beneath the Planet of the Apes?
Yes, it is.
So, like, maybe we just do that. Beneath the Planet Infinity, like the sequel.
That'll be the sequel. No. Well, and then our DVD covers for that will have to be, again, a similar case of just like, we're just going to jam every film title in
People
there.
aren't even sure if they're watching the original or the sequel anymore.
Exactly.
It's not clear at all.
Yep. All right.
So long as they're watching our films, we don't care which of them they're watching.
All right. So let's summarize. This is the road when worlds collide.
War of the Worlds.
The War of the Worlds.
That's the name of the film. The big taglines are Quest for Peace, The Voyage Home.
The Voyage Home, starring Nicolas Cage,
Kal-El Coppola. And that's pretty much it.
And Miley Cyrus.
And Miley Cyrus is in there as well, taking a page from A Star is Born, where we take a soundtrack written by Miley Cyrus and Jimi Hendrix's son. For whatever reason. If Jimi Hendrix had a son.
I have no idea.
Yeah, they collaborate in...
Probably.
Because I'm not sure if we mentioned up until now, but Kal-El Coppola is also an aspiring musician. and so all of the music in there is
that's right, because he's like a lonely like fence post driller.
Yeah.
He has his acoustic guitar on his back all the time, and once he's finished digging a pole, he just sings a little song.
Yeah. I also really like Planet Infinity as a name for a film.
Yeah.
And I think...
No, that has to be the sequel.
I mean, but this is the thing. I think people will just refer to the film as Planet Infinity for convenience sake.
Yeah.
But it's just never called Planet Infinity.
Yeah.
But whenever we talk about it, whenever we refer to it, it's just like, the Planet Infinity film.
We'll put it on the spine of the DVD box instead. So the front of the box will have all that stuff on it.
What it's actually called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. All right. I think that's a wrap.
You know what I also really want to do with this as well?
Yeah.
And I know you said it's a wrap.
Hang on. Let me unwrap it.
You don't have to unwrap it because this is tangential to the film.
Okay.
But we also open a chain of restaurants similar to Planet Hollywood, and we call it Planet Infinity.
Yeah, great. And then we fill it with all the like paraphernalia and sort of, or do we make it themed as if you're like, this is what Planet Infinity would be like, and we serve like food. If
you sit on one side of the restaurant, you get a different menu too. If you sit on the other side of the restaurant,
and it's all like food inspired by the lifestyle of the Infinitions.
Yeah, no, the globulons. No, hang on, that's right. This is post merging, or is it like depending on what time of if you go early in the day, it's separated. So the breakfast menu. So maybe we do that. Like the breakfast, lunch, and dinner follows the plot of the film.
Yep.
And depending on when you go, depends on what theme the restaurant is. Because it's almost like it's playing out in real time.
And I reckon Nicolas Cage will be on board as it, because like Planet Hollywood was made up of a bunch of like Hollywood actors as well.
Schwarzenegger and a whole bunch of those guys.
Right.
I think.
I'm sure Nicolas Cage wants to jump in on that whole like world of Hollywood-based restaurant chains. So we'll get him on board. This is great. This is just synergy at its finest. Now I think it's a wrap.
I think so.
All right, housekeeping as per usual. We are online at moviefilmstudios.net where you can find all of our previous episodes, our bios, and of course, our database of films that we've created on this podcast. Search Facebook for Movie Film Studios and join the group there. where emoji clues, for the most part, are posted every week as to the trailers that we've watched in the upcoming episodes.
What I noticed this week, and I hadn't noticed it before, is that on Mufasa Woodada, if you do go to the films that we've made, there is also listed underneath there the trailers that we watched that week as well, conveniently linked to those.
They're on the actual pages for the episodes themselves. It'll show the trailers that we watched for these week's episodes, so you can go ahead and watch them before we spoil them for you.
Or after, whatever works for you.
Yep.
Or during.
Or instead of.
Yep.
We are on Twitter because we're contractually obligated to, and we're also on iTunes, Podbean, and any other place that you get podcasts from. And I think that's it.
All that remains is to thank you. Oh, actually, wait a second. Oh, another message from Nicolas Cage.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
He's out.
What? The whole thing?
Power move. No, he's now in for National Treasure, but out for The Road.
Oh, God. And Planet Infinity?
And Planet Infinity. He's like, you can have one, but not the other.
Oh, my God.
Can we get him in half of both? I'll send him a message and see if he'll agree to that. So all that remains is to say thank you all for listening this week. I've been Isaac.
And I've been AJ.
Roll credits.